When I told my wife I'd be gone for a week on a business trip, she hugged me tightly, almost too tightly. Her eyes glistened when she said, "Take care of yourself, okay?" But something in that moment didn't feel right. Maybe it was the way she avoided eye contact when I asked her to lock the door behind me. Maybe it was the way she smiled, not sad, not happy, just strange. So I did something I'd never done before in my marriage. I decided to test her. I drove out of town, parked at a rest stop, and then quietly turned the car around after a few hours. When I came back secretly that night, I saw something through the window that shattered everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and myself. My name is Daniel, 34, married to Leah for 6 years. We had what most people would call a good marriage, at least from the outside. A small apartment, laughter over morning coffee, weekend picnics. But beneath all that, something had changed lately. She was distant. Cold. Her phone suddenly had passwords, and the woman who used to fall asleep on my chest now turned her back at night. I asked if something was wrong, and she'd always smile and say, "You're just imagining things, Daniel." I'm fine. But I wasn't fine. I was drowning in suspicion. So when my company mentioned a possible conference out of town, I saw an opportunity to see if she'd miss me, or if she'd celebrate my absence. That Friday morning, I packed my bag, kissed her forehead, and said, "It's just a week. I'll call you every night." She nodded, smiling faintly, but her hands trembled as she waved goodbye. I drove off, but I didn't go far. After 2 hours, I parked in an empty lot near a friend's garage and decided to wait until nightfall. My heart pounded like I was planning a crime. Around 9 p.m., I took a cab back to our street, wearing a hoodie, watching from across the road. The lights were still on. Then, I saw her silhouette moving near the window. She was lighting candles, setting the table. My chest tightened. 2 plates. 2 glasses of wine. I whispered to myself. Maybe she invited her friend Mia over. Maybe I'm just paranoid. But when the doorbell rang, and I saw a man, tall, familiar, walk in with a bottle of wine and a grin, my legs almost gave out. It was Evan, my colleague, someone I'd invited for dinner at our house just a month ago. Leah welcomed him with a smile I hadn't seen in months, that soft, glowing smile that used to be mine. I wanted to burst in, scream, "How could you?" But I didn't. I stayed hidden. Watching. Listening. They laughed, clinked glasses. She touched his hand. And when she leaned in and kissed him, everything inside me broke. I didn't stay to see more. I walked back to the taxi, numb, hollow. For the next 2 days, I stayed at a friend's place, pretending to still be on my trip. But inside, I was falling apart. I kept replaying every moment of our marriage, every "I love you," every argument, every apology, wondering if it was all a lie. On the 3rd day, I decided to confront her. Not with anger, but with truth. When I finally walked back into our apartment, Leah froze. She was in the kitchen, holding a cup of tea. Her eyes widened in shock. "Daniel. You're home. But, your trip." I cut her off, ended early. "I came back to surprise you." She blinked, her lips trembling. "Oh, that's nice." I stared at her for a long moment. The woman I once trusted more than anyone now looked like a stranger. I took a deep breath and said, "Leah, I saw you Saturday night. You and Evan." Her cup slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. Tears filled her eyes instantly. "Daniel, please, let me explain." "Explain what?" I whispered. "That the man who stood at our wedding is the same man you've been seeing behind my back." She shook her head violently. "No. It's not what you think." I laughed bitterly. "Then what is it, Leah?" Because from where I stood, it looked exactly like betrayal. Then she broke down completely, collapsing on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. It took her almost 10 minutes to speak. And when she finally did, the words that came out were nothing like I expected. "It wasn't an affair," she said softly. "It was a goodbye dinner." I frowned. "Goodbye?" She nodded, wiping her eyes. "Evan was diagnosed with a brain tumor. He's been keeping it quiet, but it's terminal. He didn't want pity, so he asked to see a few friends before his surgery. I didn't tell you because he begged me not to. He didn't want anyone at work to know. I froze. The room suddenly felt smaller. She continued, voice trembling. I made dinner for him. He said he wanted to thank me for helping him when he was going through depression last year. When he hugged me. I swear, Daniel, it was just a goodbye. He cried. And I did too. But that's all. My knees felt weak. But I saw you kiss him. She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. He kissed me on the cheek. I didn't stop him because I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't think you'd ever spy on me. Silence filled the room. The kind that feels heavier than any scream. For a long moment, I didn't know what to believe. The footage in my head fought against her trembling voice. Then, 2 days later, Evan's sister called. He was gone. Passed away during surgery. And in his final message to his colleagues, he mentioned Leah by name. Thank you for being the only person who treated me like a human being when I lost everything. That message shattered me more than any confession ever could. Because it meant she was telling the truth. I had tested my wife's love and failed my own. It took months to rebuild the trust I'd broken with my doubt. But Leah, she never once threw it in my face. She just held my hand and said, "Love isn't a test, Daniel. It's a choice, every day." And now, every time I look at her, I remember that night. Not as the